My sister tried to ruin my engagement, but lost everything instead. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My sister slammed her champagne flute on the restaurant table and screamed, "Ask him what Claire did last weekend." The whole engagement party went quiet so fast I could hear the ice settle in glasses. I'm Claire, 29, the least dramatic person in my family. I'm the one who pays bills on time, calls when I say I will, and cries in private. Daniel, my fiancé, was sitting beside me with his hand on my knee, steady like he always was, until that sentence hit him like a shove. Tessa stood at the head of the table like she'd rehearsed it. She wore the same smile she used in photos, but her eyes were lit with something sharp. "Don't look at me like that," she said, voice sweet now. "I'm trying to protect you, Daniel." "What are you talking about?" Daniel asked, calm but strained. Tessa lifted her phone. "I have messages. Proof. You deserve to know before you marry her." My stomach went cold, then hot. I'd been floating all night. Our friends cheering, Elise from the venue stopping by to confirm our May date, Daniel's mom texting heart emojis, the waitress refilling my water like this was any other happy night. And now every head turned toward me like I was on trial. "Hand me the phone," I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. Tessa pulled it back. "No, you'll just lie." Priya, my best friend, leaned across the table. "Claire doesn't lie," she said flatly. "Show us." Tessa's thumb hovered like she was choosing the most damaging bullet. "These are from an account that's been warning people." She looked at Daniel. "The kind of account you don't want to ignore." Daniel's hand slid off my knee. It wasn't dramatic. That was the worst part. It was careful, like he didn't know what he was touching anymore. If I lost him here, it wouldn't be because he didn't love me. It would be because he didn't know what was true. I caught a glimpse of the screen, a screenshot, time-stamped yesterday 9:14 p.m., with my profile picture beside it. Tessa turned her phone to Daniel, and my name glowed at the top. If you met Tessa at a brunch, you'd think she was sunshine. She laughed too loud, hugged too long, knew the bartender's name. People said things like, "Your sister is so fun," the way they said, "You're so responsible," to me. Growing up, Tessa learned early that attention was currency. At 8, she'd trip in the living room, cry just enough, and Mom would scoop her up like a rescued bird. At 8, I got a B on a math test, and Dad taped it to the fridge with, "Do better." No names needed. Our roles were permanent. Tessa also learned that if she couldn't be first, she could make sure I was last. When I made the soccer team, she convinced me the older girls hated tryhards. I quit. When I got accepted to a decent college, she announced she was thinking of moving to New York, and suddenly we were celebrating her imaginary future. I told myself it was childhood stuff. We were adults now. I had a job, a lease, and boundaries. At least I thought I did. Daniel entered my life like a deep breath. He was steady, gentle, not impressed by drama. The first Thanksgiving I brought him home, Tessa clinked her wine glass and said, "So, Daniel, do you like quiet girls?" Then she leaned across the table and brushed a crumb off his collar like she had a right to touch him. He pulled back politely. "I like Claire," he said. Tessa laughed. "Of course you do. She's safe." I tried to laugh too. Later, while I was washing dishes, I heard her in the hallway, voice low. "If you ever get bored," she said, "text me. I'm more fun." Daniel told me immediately, eyes wide like he'd stepped on something. I confronted Tessa, and she gaslit me with a smile. "It was a joke. You're so sensitive." I believed her because it was easier than believing my own sister would aim at my relationship on purpose. Now, at our engagement party, she stood there with proof, and I realized she'd been aiming all along. When Daniel's eyes flicked from the phone to my face, he didn't look angry. He looked hurt. The first weird thing happened 2 weeks after Daniel proposed. I woke up to a DM request on Instagram from an account called City Truthline. No profile picture. 0 posts. The message was one sentence. "Ask your fiancé where he was on Friday night." I showed Daniel while we were making coffee. He frowned, then forced a shrug. "Spam," he said, but his shoulders stayed tight. At lunch, Priya leaned in. "Something's off," she whispered. 2 people asked me if Daniel was still around. Like you'd already broken up. I tried to be mature. I didn't want to be the woman who thought everyone was plotting against her. I told myself social media made people weird. I told myself my sister's flirt jokes were just her being her. I told myself love meant not hunting for ghosts. Then the email arrived. It was forwarded to Daniel from a concerned friend, according to the subject line. The body was a screenshot of a text thread where Claire allegedly wrote, "I'll marry him, but I'm not stopping." Under it was a cropped timestamp. No date, no contact info, just enough to make my skin crawl. Daniel didn't show me right away. He tried to protect my feelings, which somehow hurt worse. When he finally slid his phone across the couch, his voice was carefully neutral. "Have you been talking to someone?" I stared at the screenshot until the letters blurred. "That isn't me," I said. "I don't even talk like that." Priya asked for the original. Daniel scrolled up. It came from an email, citytruthline at it's a Gmail. Forwarded, not sent. Priya asked. He nodded. Priya opened her laptop. "Forwarded emails have headers," she said. "They show where it came from." She clicked Show Original, and a block of data filled the screen. One line made my heart stutter. Ex-mailer, iPhone mail. I thought about Tessa's new phone, her smug little speech about aesthetics, and then the screenshot phrase hit me again, "I'm not stopping." That phrase had lived in my sister's mouth since childhood, not mine. Daniel stared at Tessa's screen like it was a snake. The screenshot looked real at first glance. My name, my picture, a message bubble that said, "Last night was worth it. Don't tell him." Under it, a second bubble. "I can't stop, even after the ring." My mouth went dry. "That is fake," I said too loud. Tessa patted her chest like she was the wounded one. "I didn't want to do this," she sighed. "But he deserves the truth." Priya held out her hand. "Let me see the full thread," she said. "There is no full thread," Tessa snapped, then softened instantly. "It was sent to me. Anonymous." Daniel swallowed. "Claire, who would do this?" My brain tried to assemble explanations while everyone watched me fail. My aunt asked, "Is there someone else?" My cousin whispered. I knew it. Like my life was entertainment. The waiter hovered with a cake knife, frozen. "I've been with you," I told Daniel, turning to him, begging him with my eyes. "Every night. You know me." He looked at me like he wanted to believe me, and that almost broke me more than disbelief would have. Tessa lifted her glass again. "I'm sorry," she said to the room, voice trembling on purpose. I couldn't sit by and let my sister trap a good man. I felt the room tip. "Trap," I repeated. She shrugged, helpless. "You always wanted what I had," she said softly, like it was an old truth. Priya squeezed my wrist under the table. "Pattern interrupt," she murmured. "Ask a concrete question." So I did. "Tessa," I said slow, "when did you get this?" She didn't blink. "Yesterday, 9:14. I felt a jolt, the exact timestamp I'd glimpsed earlier. "Where were you at 9:14? I asked. Tessa's smile slipped for half a second. "At home," she said. "Why?" Daniel stood up. The chair scraped, a loud, ugly sound. "I need air," he said, and for the first time that night, he didn't look at me when he spoke. I followed him through the crowd, hearing people murmur behind us, hearing Tessa say, "Give him space," like she owned the situation. Outside, under the restaurant's neon sign, Daniel finally faced me, eyes wet. "I swear to you," he said. "Tell me there isn't more I don't know." Then my phone buzzed with a new message from the same anonymous account. The anonymous message was short. "He's a good guy. Don't make him a fool." Under it was a blurry photo, Daniel's car outside our apartment building, taken from across the street. Someone had been watching us. Daniel saw my face change. "What now?" he asked. I handed him my phone. His jaw tightened as he zoomed in. "That's my car," he said, quieter. "This isn't random." "No," I whispered. "It's targeted." We drove home in silence, the kind that fills every space between words. In the elevator, Daniel stared at the numbers like they could explain my life. When we got inside, he set his keys down carefully, like if he moved too fast something would shatter. "I don't want to accuse you," he said, "but I also can't ignore all of this." "I know," I said, and my voice cracked anyway. He rubbed his face. "If there's something you're ashamed of, anything, you can tell me now." I wanted to scream that the only thing I was ashamed of was my family. Instead, I opened my messages and scrolled until my thumb hurt. "Look," I said, shoving the screen toward him. "My texts. My calls. You have my passcode. There's nothing." Daniel looked, but doubt is a poison that doesn't leave just because you offer water. A knock hit our door. I flinched. It was Tessa, of course. She didn't wait to be invited in. She swept into my living room like she was comforting a widow. I came to check on you, she said, eyes glossy. Tonight got intense. Daniel nodded stiffly. Tessa sat close to him, too close. I know you're hurting, she murmured. I'm sorry you had to find out like that. Find out what? I snapped. She raised her hands. I'm not your enemy, Claire. I'm trying to stop you from making a mistake. A mistake? My throat burned. You mean my engagement? She sighed like I was exhausting. You always rush into things to prove something, she said. And then she looked at Daniel and added, she did that with school, with jobs, with men. Daniel's eyes flicked to me, then away. Priya texted me from the parking lot. Don't argue. Document. Get her talking. My hands shook as I opened my voice memo app and slid my phone onto the counter. Tessa leaned back and smiled like she'd already won. Then she said the one thing she shouldn't have known to say. Tessa dabbed her eyes with a napkin and said softly, Daniel, don't let her make a fool of you. My heart stopped. Those exact words were in the anonymous message that had buzzed my phone 10 minutes earlier. I hadn't read it out loud. Daniel hadn't seen it until after we left the restaurant. There was no way Tessa could have known that line unless she was the account, or she was talking to it. I forced my face to stay neutral. What did you say? I asked, pretending I couldn't hear her. Tessa blinked, then smiled wider. I said, don't let anyone embarrass you, she corrected, too quickly. Daniel's brows pinched. Tessa, he said, careful. Where did that account come from again? She waved a hand. Anonymous. Someone concerned. Did you make it? I asked. Tessa laughed once. You're paranoid, she said, and reached for Daniel's arm like she needed comfort. I'm leaving before you say something you can't take back. She swept out, heels clicking like punctuation. The second the door shut, Daniel exhaled. That was weird, he admitted. The fool thing. I got that message while we were outside, I said. She couldn't have known. Priya called immediately. I'm coming up, she said. We're not spiraling. We're building a timeline. A timeline meant receipts. So I opened my laptop and pulled up Elise's venue emails, our contract, our payment links, details I discussed out loud at family dinners. In my email security tab, a yellow banner waited, new sign-in detected. Time, 9:13 p.m. yesterday. Device, iPhone mail. IP address listed in tiny blue numbers. I screenshotted it, then clicked details with my pulse in my throat. It even showed the browser language and the city estimate. Daniel watched over my shoulder, jaw tight. So someone logged in as you, he said slowly, and then sent me proof. Priya arrived, took one look, and said, okay. We stop talking about feelings and start proving facts. The login map pin hovered over my parents' neighborhood, not mine. Priya turned my panic into a spreadsheet on my coffee table. She wrote, event, and receipt, in bold marker on a legal pad like we were detectives with rent due. Step 1, she said, freeze the account. Change passwords. 2-factor. Now. I changed everything while Daniel watched, silent and pale. When the verification code texted my phone, he flinched like any buzz might be another dagger. Step 2. Priya said, confirm with Elise what was sent from your email. I hated dragging Elise into it, but the wedding was the target. I called her office line at 10:07 p.m. Priya made me screenshot the call log and the exact minute. Elise answered on the second ring, professional as always. Elise, I said, forcing calm. Did you get any emails from me yesterday about the venue? A pause. Yes, she said carefully. I assumed it was you. My stomach dropped. What did it say? Elise lowered her voice. It asked to change guest list access and resend the payment link to a different address. Also, it requested a confidential meeting without your fiancé. Daniel's head snapped up. Why would you meet without me? He asked, hurt flashing through calm. I wouldn't, I said, and that was the first time he fully believed me tonight. Elise, Priya said on speaker. Can you forward that email with full headers? Already pulling it up, Elise said. My inbox pinged. Forwarded message, subject line May 18th, updated access. 3 exclamation points. Tessa's fingerprint. I clicked Show Original, and there it was. IP address, device type, exact time, 9:12 p.m. 1 minute before the sign-in alert. 1 minute before the anonymous DM, Priya tapped the screen. That's the chain, she said. Login. Venue email. Then smear. Elise added. Also, someone called earlier that day asking about your deposit. Did they give a name? Priya asked. Yes, Elise said. She said she was your sister. Do you have the number? Priya asked. Elise read it out loud, and it matched the contact saved in my phone as Tessa. Priya didn't blink. Good. Now we catch her doing it again, in real time. Catching her, in real time, sounded brave until we realized we were dealing with someone who lived for performance. Priya pulled up the City Truthline account. A throwaway still needs a phone or email, she said, and tapped Forgot Password. The recovery screen popped up. Send code to phone ending in 38. My throat tightened. Tessa's number ended in 38. Refresh, I said, like I could argue with a screen. Priya did. Same. 38. She screenshot it with the timestamp in the corner. April 3rd, 11:26 p.m. Daniel stared at it. So she made the account, he said, voice thin. It gets worse, Priya replied. Daniel searched his inbox for the forwarded screenshot and clicked the sender's profile icon. A recovery hint appeared, one partially hidden backup email, starting with T. Daniel didn't finish the thought out loud, but his face did. How did she get into your email? He asked. I replayed the last month. Tessa helping at my apartment, borrowing my laptop to print something. Everyone passing around the family iPad at Mom's house to look at wedding colors. Priya nodded. Saved passwords, she said. She didn't hack you. She used you. Then Daniel's phone buzzed again. Another DM, with a photo. It showed me, my coat, my hair, standing outside a bar, pressed close to a man's shoulder. The angle made it look intimate. I was waiting for you, Daniel said quietly. That night you said traffic was bad. I was in traffic, I said, staring hard. And that isn't a bar. That's the coffee shop by my office. Priya zoomed in. In the window reflection, you could see the chalkboard date, 2/4, 1 lattes, Tuesday. The caption under the photo read, Ask her who he is. I knew who he was, my coworker handing me my dropped keys, but the internet didn't know that, and neither did my relatives whispering in the group chat. Our next venue payment was due Friday. Someone had chosen the angle, the crop, and the lie. And I still didn't know what Tessa wanted badly enough to burn my life. The why kept clawing at me more than the how. I could understand Tessa being mean. I couldn't understand her risking identity theft charges just to bruise my feelings. That was a different kind of hunger. Priya said it out loud. People don't go this hard unless they're protecting something. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house under the excuse of dropping off leftover cake. Daniel offered to come, but I needed to see my family with my own eyes, without witnesses, without stage lights. Tessa's car was in the driveway. Inside, Mom hugged me too tightly. Last night was awful, she murmured, but her eyes slid away like she didn't want to choose between daughters. In the kitchen, Tessa sat at the table in sweatpants, scrolling her phone like a teenager. She didn't look guilty. She looked irritated, like my pain was an inconvenience. Can we talk? I asked. She smiled sweetly. Sure. About how you accused me of hacking you. Mom winced. Claire. I kept my voice calm on purpose. My email logged in from this neighborhood at 9:13. Elise confirmed someone called from your number. The anonymous account's recovery phone ends in 38. That's you. Tessa leaned back, unbothered. You're obsessed, she said. Maybe Daniel should see that. That's when her phone lit up with an incoming call. The screen flashed a name I wasn't supposed to see. Collections, final notice. Her thumb slammed decline so fast it was almost a reflex. Mom's face tightened. A muscle worked in her jaw. Tessa, she said low. Are they calling again? Tessa's smile cracked. It's nothing, she snapped too loud. Mom sighed like someone who'd been sighing for months. We told you we can't keep covering you, she said. Not with Claire's wedding coming. The air went still. I stared at my mother. Covering her for what? Tessa's eyes flashed, and suddenly the pieces rearranged. The obsession with first. The rage at my ring. The need to make me look like the villain so she could stay the victim everyone saves. Priya was right. Tessa wasn't just jealous. She was desperate. If Claire marries Daniel, we're done bailing you out. I drove home from my parents' house shaking so hard I had to pull over twice. Tessa wasn't just jealous, she was cornered. And cornered people do reckless things. By the time I got back to my apartment, Daniel was gone. His shoes were missing from the mat. His jacket wasn't on the hook. My texts, where are you? Are you okay? Sat unread. My chest tightened like a fist. Priya arrived 5 minutes later and grabbed my phone. Call Elise, she said. If Tessa's desperate, she'll hit the wedding again. Elise answered, breathless. Claire, I was about to call you, she said. Someone emailed me from your account an hour ago, asking to cancel your May date. I felt the room tilt. What did it say? Elise read, I can't go through with it. Please release my deposit. Daniel can't know. Priya's eyes went sharp. Forward it. Now. Full headers. While Elise forwarded, my phone finally lit up with Daniel's name. Where are you? I blurted the second I answered. His voice sounded raw. I'm in my car, he said. Claire, I got messages from you. You told me to meet you. What? My mouth went numb. You said you needed to confess, he said. You said you were at the Riverside Hotel. I stared at Priya. Her face went pale. I'm at home, I said, forcing each word. I never sent that. Silence. Then Daniel said, the messages came through iMessage. Same tone as those screenshots. Daniel. Priya cut in, loud enough for him to hear. Open the thread details. What address did it come from? A few taps. Then Daniel inhaled sharply. It's not from your number, he said. It's from an iCloud email. My stomach dropped. The family iPad. Mom's kitchen counter. Tessa's new iPhone. Daniel's voice cracked. I'm parked outside the hotel, he said. And someone just walked out looking for me. Priya grabbed my keys. We're going, she said. As I sprinted for the door, Elise's forwarded email landed in my inbox with a single terrifying line highlighted at the top, sent from iPhone mail. And then Daniel whispered, Claire, Tessa is here. When we reached the Riverside Hotel, the scene Tessa planned fizzled the second reality showed up. Daniel stood in the lobby with his phone in his hand, eyes red. Tessa hovered near the elevator in a blazer like she was about to host a seminar. When she saw me, her expression shifted, surprise first, then anger that I'd ruined her script. Oh my God, she gasped loudly, drawing stairs. Claire, don't do this here. Don't do what? I asked, voice shaking but clear. Meet my fiancé at a hotel using my name? Daniel turned his screen toward me. The iMessage thread showed it plainly. The text came from an iCloud email, not my number. Priya snapped photos of the thread with the time visible, then made Daniel email himself the screenshots. Tessa's smile hardened. You're making me the villain, she hissed when no one was watching. I'm trying to save him. From what? Daniel asked, louder than she expected. The front desk clerk asked if there was a problem. Tessa immediately switched to tears. It's family, she said, and Daniel's shoulders sagged like he was exhausted by how good she was at it. In the parking lot, Priya forced us to breathe. We don't blow up in public, she said. We build a clean, undeniable package. We called Elise and told her to lock our vendor files behind a new password and to prepare a printout. The email headers, the phone number that called, the subject lines with the ridiculous exclamation points. Elise agreed to meet us the next day at her office, and she offered something better. Your venue has cameras, she said. If anyone came in pretending to be you, we can pull it. That night, Daniel and I sat at my kitchen table, fingers intertwined like we were learning each other again. I'm sorry, he said. I hate that my doubt hurt you. I hate that it worked, I whispered. Priya leaned over my laptop. We need the reveal somewhere Tessa can't spin, she said. I thought of my parents' dining room, where my family performed every holiday like a play. So I texted Mom, family dinner tomorrow. We need to clear the air. Mom replied, Tessa will be there. Tessa texted, I'll come, but Daniel must sit beside me. Family dinner at my parents' house felt like walking onto a stage. Tessa arrived glowing, cream sweater, curled hair, perfect smile, and slid into the chair beside Daniel like she'd reserved it. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he stayed put. We'd agreed. No shouting, no chasing her story down rabbit holes, just proof. Mom set the plates down with trembling hands. Please, she said, one peaceful meal. Yes, I said. Peace, with truth. Priya opened her laptop and mirrored it to the TV. A clean timeline filled the screen. 9:12 p.m. Email to Elise from my account. Resend payment link. 9:13 p.m. New sign-in alert. iPhone mail. Location near this house. 9:14 p.m. Anonymous DM. Don't make him a fool. Tessa laughed too loud. You made a PowerPoint about me? Daniel pulled out his phone. These confession texts came from an iCloud email, he said, turning the screen toward everyone. Not Claire's number. Priya clicked to the next slide. Instagram password reset for City Truth line. Send code to phone ending in 38. The timestamp sat in the corner. April 3rd, 11:26 p.m. Mom stared at Tessa. Your number ends in 38. Tessa's smile twitched. Coincidence. I hit the next file. Elise's forwarded email with full headers. The line, ex-mailer. iPhone mail was highlighted in yellow. Under it, Elise's note. Caller asked about deposit, said she was Claire's sister. Tessa stood so fast her chair scraped. You can fake any of this, she snapped, voice suddenly harsh. Claire's always been good at playing victim. I didn't raise my voice. So I called Elise, I said, and put her on speaker. Elise's calm voice filled the room. I confirm it, she said. The email came from an iPhone mail client, and the deposit call came from a number ending in 38. Tessa's eyes flashed toward Mom, then back to me. You were going to cut me off, she spat, and for the first time she looked scared. Once she got married, you'd stop saving me. Mom's face crumpled. Tessa. Priya clicked the last attachment. A grainy still from the venue lobby camera showed Tessa at Elise's office door, clutching a folder with my name on it. And then Mom whispered, Why do you have Claire's folder? Mom reached for the TV remote, like she could shut the truth off. Tessa snatched the folder from the screen's reflection and clutched it to her chest. It's not what you think, she said, voice shaking now for real. I was helping. Helping by canceling my wedding? I asked. Daniel stood up slowly. You tried to lure me to a hotel, he said, and his calm tone made it worse. You used Claire's name. That's not help. That's cruelty. Tessa's eyes filled with tears, and for a second I saw the little girl who used crying as a weapon and got rewarded for it. She turned to Mom. You're going to believe her over me? She sobbed. Mom's shoulders sagged. I'm believing the receipts, she whispered. Tessa's face hardened instantly. Fine, she snapped, and the tears vanished like a faucet turned off. You want consequences? You'll get them. She whipped her phone out and started tapping fast. Priya moved before I did. Nope, she said, stepping between Tessa and the hallway. You don't get to escalate. Tessa laughed wild. You can't stop me. Dad, usually silent, finally spoke from the end of the table. Hand over the phone, he said. Tessa froze, then shoved the phone into her pocket. Touch me, and I'll tell everyone what Claire's really like, she hissed. I'll post everything. I'll tag Daniel's boss. I'll ruin her. Daniel didn't flinch. There is no everything, he said. It's all you. Mom's voice broke. Tessa, we've paid your late fees, your cards, your rent. We've lied for you. And you repaid us by trying to destroy your sister. Tessa's mouth twisted. Because she gets the fairy tale, she spat. And I get lectures. Dad pointed at the front door. Leave, he said. Tessa stared at him like she'd never been told no in her life. Then she stormed out, slamming the door so hard the picture frames rattled. The silence afterward was thick with shame. I thought the nightmare would end there, but my phone buzzed before we even cleared the dishes. An email from the venue. Cancellation request received. And it had been sent 2 minutes ago. The venue email made my hands go numb. Elise answered on the first ring. Don't panic, she said immediately. I saw it. I didn't process it. How? I asked. Elise, Priya said, already taking notes. What did the request come from? A forwarded email from your old address, Elise replied. But we added a security step after yesterday. No cancellations without the code word and a call back to Daniel. I exhaled so hard I almost cried. Thank you, I whispered. That's the point, Elise said. Your wedding should be yours. After that, we treated planning like protecting a house in a storm. Priya helped me create a new email, new passwords, two-factor on everything. We gave every vendor a code word and a list of authorized phone numbers. Elise changed our file access so only Daniel and I could log in, and she printed a note for the venue staff. Do not release information to family. Daniel and I also did the harder work. We talked. Not the I'm fine talking, the messy kind. We sat on my couch and he admitted, when your sister attacked, I felt stupid. I let fear lead. I admitted, when you doubted me, I felt alone in my own life. We booked a couple session with a counselor the next week. Daniel squeezed my hand in the waiting room like a promise. The counselor didn't fix the past, but she gave us language. Trust isn't a feeling, it's an agreement you protect. As for Tessa, we didn't blast her online. We didn't start a family war on Facebook. We did the ethical, unglamorous thing. We filed a report for account intrusion and impersonation. We printed the screenshots, the email headers, the call logs, and Elise's statement. We told my parents the boundary in plain words. Tessa was not invited to anything wedding-related unless she got help and stopped contacting us. Mom cried. Dad nodded once, like he finally understood the cost of keeping the peace. For a few quiet days, my phone stayed silent, and I let myself believe the worst was over. Then, at 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday, a message came through from an unknown number. It read, "You think you won, but you don't know what I saved." The unknown number was a bluff. Priya and I compared it to the earlier DMs and emails. The same phrasing, the same dramatic rhythm. We forwarded the screenshot to the officer on our report and added one more receipt. My phone log showing 2:17 a.m. The next day, a temporary no-contact order was approved, and Tessa was served at my parents' house. Mom called me afterward, voice hollow. She screamed that you're ruining her life, she said. I'm protecting mine, I replied, and for the first time the sentence didn't shake. The consequences weren't cinematic. They were slow and real. My parents stopped paying her cards. She lost the apartment she'd been almost affording. Some of her friends stopped returning her calls once my parents quietly told them the truth. The venue banned her from the property after Elise provided the camera still. When she tried to show up at my apartment again, she couldn't play innocent. There was paperwork now. Daniel and I rebuilt trust the way you rebuild after a storm, one honest day at a time. We kept the counselor appointments. We stopped letting other people's chaos dictate our tone. We created a small ritual. Every Sunday night, we checked our vendor portal together, changed passwords once a month, and laughed about how unromantic adulthood can be. On May 18th, I walked into the venue holding Daniel's hand, not a storyline. Priya stood at the entrance with a clipboard like a bouncer in heels. Elise ran the room like a captain. My parents looked exhausted, but present, like they'd finally learned that love without boundaries is just fear in a nicer outfit. Tessa didn't come. There was no dramatic entrance, no last-minute sobbing confession. Just an empty chair where my sister might have sat if she'd chosen me over her need to win. After the ceremony, someone asked if I felt sad. I did briefly. Then I looked at Daniel's face, steady and sure, and felt something better than revenge, relief. If you're dealing with sabotage, here's what saved me. Keep receipts, lock your accounts, demand specifics, and don't negotiate with someone who lies for sport. Family should add safety to your life, not conditions.